Hello, well, welcome to Let's Talk Business with Laura Nowlin and Dr. Cobian. Dr. Cobian unfortunately could not be here with us, but we have a great guest today. We have Ronda Kennedy with us today, and she's actually running for the U.S. Senate of Nevada. I asked her to come on to this show because I wanted to talk about the workforce development and what she's doing in educating people on immigration. Welcome, Ronda, to our show.
Thank you, Laura. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And so tell us a little bit about you, Ronda. You know, what is it that you do for a living? And what is inspiring you to run for U.S. Senate?
Well, I am a lover of the Constitution and of the law. I'm a civil rights attorney, and when it comes to businesses and people coming to the country, there's so many laws on the book. So I just like educating people on that. But I'm a mom first. I'm a mom of 6, including 11-year-old triplets.
Oh, can you imagine? 3 at 11 years old.
3
Wow.
at 11 years old. They're so entertaining.
I bet.
And they're very involved as well. And I'm a grandma of 4.
Okay.
Yes, so I know what it's like to be a family and have an everyday family life here, taking care of your family, paying your bills, just trying to survive and live that American dream.
Awesome, awesome. So as what you're doing in as an attorney, right, and practicing law, you actually have then your own firm, and so it's kind of like you're owning your own business.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Oh, it's my own business, and trust me, it's like I know what small businesses go through, and it is a struggle, and I think there should be more assistance for small businesses, because after all, that's the backbone of America.
Oh, definitely. And I love to hear anybody who's running for a position say that about small businesses, because that's truly what it is. So what's inspiring you to even run for U.S. Senate, though? I mean, it's crazy.
It is crazy. Well, I have 3 11-year-olds, so I know how to organize chaos. But one of the issues is that America is facing, and the fact that it's in my blood. So my grandfather was the first Black state assemblyman for the state of Wisconsin, and my great aunt started the first Black bank, Columbia Savings and Loans, in Wisconsin. It's still open today, and so it's like I know what it's like to be in business and in politics. And then we also have the first Black flower shop in Wisconsin. So I was actually raised in a small business.
Got you. So it feels very comfortable for you to be in that space.
It's very comfortable.
Many times I've heard people tell me, politics doesn't belong in business. And I remember my mentor when we first started, I first started my business, he would do my workers' comp insurance. And he told me, Laura, you may hate politics and you don't want to be involved in politics. But once you start your small business, you have no choice but to be in politics. And I can tell you, I told him, no, there's no way. I hate politics. And I can tell you, yes, I want to know who's running. I want to be able to have that opportunity to interview them and know the candidates that are going to be on the ballot, and to see if they really truly are going to be supporting the small business community, because we've got to be involved.
Exactly.
We have no choice.
No choice. And people who are just either individuals or this businesses, if you're in business and you get a letter and that your taxes are being raised, or there's a new tax being added, or a new fee that's being added, that started in a legislature, either state or county or local, but some politician voted to raise your fees, raise the regulations that they put on businesses. They don't call them taxes, but let's be real. If it's a regulation or a fee, you might as well be a tax. It raises the cost. And the amount of litigation I see against employers, that the politicians have created a get-rich scheme for employees to come after employers. Now, the laws are there because, yes, things happen where employers may be wrong and violating employees' rights.
Right.
But it also created the environment where employees are taking advantage and just trying to get rich quick off of that employer.
That happens to us so much. I own a staffing agency, and I can tell you, so many people try to steal time. With time cards. Even if you do the geofencing with clocking in and clocking out, they'll try to clock in at a job and then leave and then come back in to clock out. But, and then they fight to get their wages paid. But it's like, we've got to call the labor commissioner and say, okay, here's the situation. What do we do? Well, you've got to do your due diligence. And if you can prove that this person wasn't there, just continue running payroll and take them out, right? But it can be really tricky, and it's really difficult when you want to do the right thing for anyone that you're bringing on board under your tax ID number as an employee. But at the same time, you don't want to be taken advantage of, right? Because you just can't afford to pay people for not working.
Exactly. And then you have to balance it. So you pay them for not working. Or you take a stance like, no, I know you weren't there. Then they file a wage and hour claim against you. And now you have to defend it, even though you're right.
Oh, yes.
You have to defend it. And that costs money.
Of course.
And so sometimes employers are like, well, it's cheaper to just pay them this, because if I have to do that, my attorney's going to cost this and it's going to cost me that. And then if the commissioner believes them and they lie, you're going to be with penalties as well.
Right.
And it's just it's really a bad environment, especially for a small business. And the small business could be one employee lawsuit away from destroying that business.
Oh, no, definitely, yes. And so let's talk a little bit about the workforce right now. I know for me, ever since COVID, we were already struggling with the workforce, where I was finding it, like, I'm going to say over 10 years ago, I started seeing a shift with the young, individuals coming in from right after graduating from school. And they would come in and they would go through the interview process, and it was like I owed them something. Like I owed them a job, and I couldn't understand, like, what the heck is happening with our workforce in our school district. And then with COVID coming along, it even actually made it worse, because then people were at home making $18 an hour for sitting down doing nothing, right? And then having to now try to put them into the workforce. You would think, okay, well, you were out this whole time getting paid. What did you study? How did you improve your skills? The majority of people didn't take advantage of that, didn't try to improve their skills, but yet they want to be at the higher pay rate. But then you're finding that they don't qualify. So it was already a competitive market going out and trying to find them in a different state. But COVID had affected us not just in our state, in our country, but it affected us throughout the whole world. Where I'm seeing that we're going in the direction we're going, and I've been visiting quite a bit of Mexico because of this, is I think that because we're so low on reproducing, right? People get married at a very older age now. A lot of them maybe want to have one kid, maybe no kids at all. Maybe want to start a family at the age of 30 or 35 years old. So then we're actually not producing like we should be. So then we're going to end up, which right now we have more jobs than we actually have people that want to work, right? Because everyone that is unemployed right now doesn't mean they want to work. Exactly. Right? So then I'm saying, okay, so I'm going to have to start looking for talent worldwide. So this is why I brought you on the show. I want to talk about how can I bring people from Mexico under a working visa program without breaking the law, right? If you could talk a little bit about that, and I don't mind you using your computer, because I know it can be very technical when you're talking law, and you don't want to misrepresent or give us wrong information, right? So I'm okay with you jumping back and forth to your notes. But if you can explain the process a little on that, that would be great.
So there are several different categories of work visas that you can get. As there is one for special skills. So if you have someone that has a particular skill that's not readily available. So if you have a specialty store, like we were talking with
Maria.
Maria. I was going to say, yes, we're talking about Maria in regards to her upholstery business.
Right.
So that could be looked at as a specialty skill. And then, so there's a visa available for that. There's also one for arts. So, and for artists. So combining and being creative, you might be able to combine an individual has a special skill on upholstery, but to me, that's like an art.
Okay.
Right? It's like it's like an artistic. It's like an artistic skill. But first, before the employer looks outside of the United States, they have to they register their business with the Department of Labor, and there's certain assertions that they have to make that so their business qualifies. Like what the skill is, what the position is, that they've looked and they couldn't find anyone within the United States to fill that position. And once they get that certification, then they can apply for the visa. And there's temporary visas. So
Okay.
so that was there is the skilled workers, and that's under the EB3.
EB3. Okay.
It's under the EB3. And it's very helpful. So I know small businesses, they're limited on resources and funds.
Right,
So
yes.
what they could do is everything is available on the website, which is uscis.gov.
Okay.
Okay. And there's a whole list of the type of visas that your worker that you're looking for may fit into. You just have to find the right category. And so I would suggest small businesses who have limited resources that they go on, find that visa,
All right.
do the process, do as much legwork as they can, and then go and retain an immigration attorney after to just look over everything. And in the meantime, you can be looking for someone that fits the category, a candidate, because once you find that candidate, you can do the application. So you can't do the application and say, hey, I want to look. You do the application of, this is the person that I found.
Okay.
And I want to bring them over, because there's certain things that you have to when you have to agree to or swear to, like they don't have any type of criminal record or their history about them. So you can start looking prior to. And then also there is you have to get a certification of the wages.
Okay.
So there is also on the site, there's a link where you have to look and see the average wage for that particular
Position.
exactly, because there's different treaties in that. So you get the average, what the average wage is, and then that's what you have to meet for.
All right. So here's where it gets a little tricky, right? So
Yes.
let's say you have a position that the average rate is, I don't know, $22 to $25 an hour. But right now in the U.S., people want $30 an hour for it. So you can find that person, but it's not the average wage. And so it's not in your budget. So the person is out there, but they want $30 an hour. Can you still go under the EB3 program to stay within that budget, because you really can't afford to pay that $30 worker?
Yeah, and these are international set wages.
Oh, okay.
So it's not even what the average is, and there's like hundreds of categories.
Wow.
And so you look to see which one it fits in. So that, and I don't know if you could show links, but I could give you the links, because there's one for the Department of Labor.
Okay.
And then one for immigration, and then one for the average wages. And so they're all categorized by a number. So, I don't know, let's say actor, because maybe under this number category for labor. And so you just look at that category, and it tells you what the average wage is. And also you could do it by you could search it by the labor number.
Okay.
Or you can search it by the skill, if it's if it's an actor, if it's a mechanic, or if it's you do upholstery. Different position.
Okay, well, we're going to go to commercial, and we'll be right back with Ronda Kennedy. Introducing CS Now Staffing, led by yours truly, Laura Nowlin. As the founder and president, I bring over 17 years of expertise in sourcing for talent, building winning teams of professionals, marketing, and workforce development. At CS Now Staffing, we're not just a staffing agency. We're your strategic partner in building a winning team of professionals for your business. My passion for community service extends to connecting entrepreneurs with local resources. Recognized by the Small Business Administration as the 2022 Nevada Family Owned Business of the Year, we're not just changing the workforce landscape, we're defining it.
Hello, this is Dr. Kovian. I am a naturopath or a doctor in natural medicine, a holistic practitioner, and I specialize in uncovering the root causes of your symptoms of health problems. How do I do that? Well, I use the electromagnetic resonance technology, same thing that CAT scan and MRI uses in the hospital. And once I know what's the root cause, through natural solutions such as teas, soups, smoothies, I'll give you the recipes for you to empower your own body's healing mechanisms so that you will heal or prevent any future health problems. You can reach me out here in Las Vegas. My number is 702-365-8000, or you can look for Balance, Salud y Vida. I have a website, I have social media, but 702-365-8000 is the best way to reach out to me. I will help you better your health, prevent any illness, increase your energy levels, reduce inflammation, pain. You will feel amazing. It will be a pleasure to serve you.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Business with Laura Nowlin and Dr. Kovian and Ronda Kennedy, who's running for U.S. Senate for the state of Nevada. So we were talking about workforce development, and we're talking about different types of positions. So if you can talk a little bit more about that then.
Yes, so there's also a visa that it's for more advanced skills. So
Okay.
if you're in the science, if you're a doctor, research, chemist, things like that, those require certain degrees. So you have to have an advanced degree. And
Could it be a nurse, a registered nurse?
it could be, yes.
Because I know that the nurses,
Yes.
we're really short on them here in the United
there should
States.
be, yes, it could be
Okay.
registered nurses, and that's where a lot of the traveling nurses come from.
Okay.
From out of country. I have a girlfriend that is a traveling nurse, but she's Canadian.
Okay.
But she does it in the United States, and so those visas are these are all temporary visas. So
Okay.
they're limited by the amount of time. So they go 2 years, and you can go up to 6 years. And hopefully by that time you may be able to get be a permanent worker.
Right.
Because after you're here as a temporary worker, you can apply to be a permanent worker. And so, but that just gets you in the door. Also, they should apply as soon as possible. The employer should get the ball rolling, because they only grant between 33,000 and 66,000 visas, depending on if it's a EB1 or EB2 or EB3. They have a certain amount of numbers. So right now, for the EB3, they're already at their capacity for 2024.
Oh, wow.
So they would be doing 2020, 2025, unless there are exceptions.
Okay.
So that to get around the limited number. But but you have to fit in certain categories for that as well. That's why it's important to, if you can understand and comprehend it, to look at the website, and it give you the exceptions.
Yeah. So under these programs, what protection do the employers have, right? So let's say I bring someone from Mexico under an EB3. Okay. Under an EB3, I bring them in, and everything that they said they were going to do, once they get here, they no longer want to work for me, but they want to work for a different company. Then what?
Well, then the visa that they came on, it was for you as the employer.
Right.
So
employer record.
Yeah. So
Okay.
there is a process that if that employee is terminated, everything gets then reported to
wow.
immigration. But there's also a process of transferring that visa to another
Employer.
But that employer had to go through the same process as well.
Okay.
And so it's like, it's just like being here on any other visa, like the J1 visa, the student or the au pair visa. if that person is no longer with that family, they get reported and their visa is no longer good.
Who's liable for the visa? So let's say I pull the visa, I bring someone from Mexico, and then they decide they're just gonna leave me, but they don't want to go through the process of getting another visa, right?
Right.
What happens? Because now they're in the country illegally. They got here legally,
Right.
but now they're illegally
Yes.
here.
Yes.
What happens then?
Well, as long as you do all the
and
reporting
I
as an
reported
employer,
it.
yeah, you
Okay.
do all the reporting. I mean, you're not responsible for a third party's, criminal acts. Cause
Okay, gotcha.
That's a crime, right? You're here illegally. You're no longer are legally invalid to be in this country, and then you skip. As long as you've reported everything, it's on that person.
Now, you're very passionate about talking about immigration because you even put together an event where you were
Yeah.
talking about, victims that may already be here in this country that got here illegally, but now they're actual victims that they actually could qualify to become legal here in the country. Why are you doing this? Why are you so passionate about it?
Because it's a misconception
Okay.
that that people are just going to be dragged out of their homes and thrown out of the country, and it's fear, and I can see
Yes.
the actual fear in the community and people that are here illegally, and it's like there's laws on the books right now. People always like we need comprehensive immigration reform. Well, utilize the laws that we have, and a lot of people that are here illegally actually qualify for a visa that would give them legal standing, and so they don't have to live in fear. I mean, people actually live in fear. I mean, some of my first clients and a large part of my practice was the Latino community, because once you do one thing for one Latino, it's like it spreads like wildfire.
Yes, we
It's
do.
all about
We're very loyal.
Very
We're very
loyal.
loyal, and we will tell our friends about you. And then they're like, "Rhonda, help me! Come over here. Rhonda's gonna help you."
Exactly,
Yes.
exactly. And so I hear the actual things that are going on and the things that are being said to them about other people, like the government's going to come in
And take you
and
away.
take you away. And one woman was actually afraid to leave the house because of at the time the current administration. The people told her that.
Sure, they were gonna get deported.
Yeah, and it's just, and no one should live in fear.
Absolutely.
And
Yes.
you should separate those who want to be here and want to integrate, want to be legal, and those who just came here for shenanigans.
Okay. So how often do you put on these workshops where you come in and you basically speak to the community and tell them about the immigration reform, that we really don't need so much immigration reform. The immigration laws are already there, and they're there, then you could use them actually and become legal here in the country. How often do you do those?
Well, I used to do them every week, but now I'm doing them once a month.
Okay.
And just to educate, not just on the visa and immigration laws, but also on your rights. Because even if you're in this country illegally, you still have
Rights.
Yes, the Constitution still applies, and so it's very important that the community and people know their rights.
No, I'm glad, and I'm glad that you're going to be talking also about the EB1, the EB2, the EB3 types of different visas, because I really do believe that workforce is not where it needs to be. And as a small business, we need to start looking at how are we going to stay competitive, right? And how are we going to compete to try to get the best workforce possible as we're going. Even in the state of Nevada, there's construction everywhere.
Yeah.
But we really don't have all the people to fill those positions. I know that during COVID, we, my staffing company, we ended up expanding with a logistic company from Texas to Indiana and Arizona. And when we got to Indiana, minimum wage was the lowest there.
Yes.
It was a little bit above $7 an hour. But it didn't matter what minimum wage was. I paid higher wages in Indiana than I did in any other state that I was in all four, because there were more jobs than there were people.
Wow.
So in all reality, you don't have to increase minimum wage.
Right.
What you do is you become competitive, right? And so it's basic economics, right? So obviously, if we create more and more jobs, then the person, and there's less people, we're going to compete against that person. So then we're going to pay more for that person. And you don't really need to increase minimum wage.
Right.
Because what you do is you actually then create a problem, because how are you going to pay someone who's a $9 worker and now you're going to have to pay them $12? Well, the only way to pay them $12 is that cookie that was costing $1 now needs to cost $3 in order for you to afford to pay that person you were paying $9 to now pay them $12.
Yes.
Right? So then what happens is the person that you're really trying to help, you're actually hurting.
Yeah. Yes.
Exactly,
Because you're going to circles. Because then everything goes up.
Everything goes up.
And then that's what everyday people don't realize. Like, you walk, because they don't know how to run a business. So you walk into a business and you're like, oh my gosh, like, but this has gone up. This is $3 more than it was last month. And it's like, it's $3 more than it was last month, because that product has to be transported. There's gas is more, and you have to pay an employee to do this. That's more. Now the employment taxes went up because the state voted to raise employment taxes. So now the employer has to pay more, and that all gets incorporated in the end product, and then the consumer is actually paying. You know.
Oh no. No, you're right. You're right, Rhonda. And so I just went to California not that long ago, and I invited my cousin, because originally that's where I grew up. So I invited my cousin out to eat, and she was, okay, we could go to a restaurant, Laura, but do you understand that all the workers now make $20 an hour? So we took a big hit on all the prices. And I'm like, oh, holy smokes, you're looking at what you're paying for a burrito. Mexican restaurant. I'm like, dang, I'm paying a lot. I'm like, it's going to cost us $50 to eat here, sister. I'm like, what the heck?
Exactly. Right? Exactly. And then, and don't get carne asada.
Right.
Because the price of beef is ridiculous. Yeah.
So who's saying we're not in a recession?
Right,
well,
exactly.
we caused it. We truly caused
did.
it. We went along with everything with COVID. We went along and we voted for minimum wage to go up. So then stop complaining, people.
Yeah.
This is exactly what comes with it. We voted for it.
Yeah, exactly. And just like COVID just demolished and destroyed the small businesses, which is the middle class, is the backbone of America. And that's why we're really suffering today.
Right. No, well, Rhonda, thank you so much for coming on this show.
Me.
We do wish you the best in your campaign, and, hopefully we can get the word out there that you are running. And, it's just awesome to have you here. It's awesome to have someone who understands small business, who understands immigration, right, that can actually answer the questions that so many people in the community that may fear at this time. So anything else, maybe your phone number or somewhere where they can get a hold of you, how they can help you?
Yes. Go my website, rondakennedy.com. So it's RONDA Kennedy.com.
And a phone number where they can get a hold of you if they want to volunteer and help you?
It's all on the website, but 702-420-2331.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much once again.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching Let's Talk Business with Laura Nowlin and Dr. Cobian. And she'll be back in our next show.
Thank you.
Have a blessed day.